Eagles were #1, followed by the Lions, Chiefs, Ravens, and my Packers. Coach Mangini is joining us right now. Coach, any issue with this top 5?
Yeah, I had a lot of issues.
Me too. I had a lot of issues with it.
Yeah, you know they did. I mean, of course they will. Because, I mean, we got Nick Wright, who's always wrong, the homer. They brought on your boy Wayne, but they had to take big issue with this list. We start off with Coach Mangini, and his big issue is with Detroit being at #2. They're going to have some issues, with replacing their defensive and offensive coordinator. They mirrored the Eagles in 2023 and trying to replace both of those guys. And we saw that spectacular experiment went. As well as, doing the same the following year. And, this year it happened to work out. But it is an arduous task, because, you may have the latent talent, but getting those guys, coaching them up and on both sides of the ball, you don't have that stability of one unit, being settled in, and then, include the players, coming in and out. I get that. But, Nick is a whole other issue. Him being like, well, believe the Chiefs should be at #1. Bro, they just lost Super Bowl. They just lost, man. And, we'll get into Philly, a little bit later, but youth, man. The youth movement. You cannot beat that. And just in the salary cap age, that's, that comes at a premium, because you're literally saving yourselves, many dollars and cents, comparatively speaking, with the, veteran talent that comes with, you know what you're getting, but it comes at a cost, and there's no guarantee, especially with injury being included into the deal. But this is a Philadelphia Eagles channel. It is a challenge. It is a challenge too for us to try and build a dynasty, as Saquon said. But that's a topic for another video. But as I am, Philly. I almost said born and raised. I was just a big fan, and have been for like 20 years now. But we'll deal with them first, and then we'll talk about the rest of the league. But I believe we should have be considered the top contender to have the biggest window, because, like I said, the youth. You look all up and down our roster, not just as having guys locked in, but Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, those guys are rookies. Nakobe Dean, hopefully he comes back from injury, but he's a younger player going into his 4th year, I believe. Nolan Smith going into his 3rd year, exploded, really showed a lot of growth this year. Jalen Carter also going into his 3rd year. I mean, he's, a future defensive player of the year candidate, and, he's just getting started. His 2nd year, he showed out. You got guys along the, Reed Blankenship, he's the elder statesman of the safeties, kind of, and, he's only in his, I think 4th year, going into maybe his 5th year. I mean, it's crazy, up and down the team. Smitty's not that old. Neither is, Jalen Hurts. He'll be 27, I think, this season. A.J. Brown, he's 27 or younger. I mean, we're built to last, and we build these teams, from the inside out. A smart way to go, because, you have, the guys attacking, the guys protecting, get pressure on the quarterback and protecting the quarterback. Those are two things that we focus in on. And it's been a smart philosophy. Reason why we have the #1 O-line in the league. Reason why we're able to control Mahomes with only 4 guys rushing, not blitzing at all. So, I mean, there's so many things that swing in Philly's favor. The GM they have that puts them in a premium position, puts that talent around Hurts, puts that talent around the other guys on the guys on defense, and ask the defensive coordinator, you want this guy? Oh, get a Jalix Hunt, in the 3rd round, who's I thought he was gonna be a project this year as well, and he turns out he turned it on, grew exponentially, and he might just be a starter going into next year, and made our free agent Bryce Huff look just replaceable, looked kind of just like a waste. So I mean, there's that. I mean, there's so many things that you can point, hang your hat on. One of the best owners in the league who doesn't care about spending. These other guys are putting money in the premium, trying to just rake in the cash, and not willing to go out and spend out there in free agency or on coaches. just bringing in, or programs, perception programs, they're just not willing to go the extra mile, and it really shows in their results. But yeah, the way the roster is constructed and its stability, they have their keys and they don't reveal them to the public. But yeah, whatever they're cooking up, that special sauce, that's formula there in Philly, it's obviously working. Now let's get to the rest of the league, man. Bucky Brooks, Detroit. I'm at number 2. I wouldn't put them at number 2 because I believe they have a lot of rebounding to do, but the defense, they're not going to have that on a swing and a balance of probability, that kind of injury luck on that side of the ball again. But they have a few spots they need to fill. There's talent there. Aiden Hutchinson coming back. I think Aleem, D tackle coming back. So they could go out and get Garrett, Myles Garrett, and add to that, a force multiplier to that roster. But with that instability, even though they have the requisite talent, you gotta be able to see how these guys fit in the system, how they adjust to a new coordinator on both sides. That's a lot to handle. So I would say they're in the top 5 just on talent alone, but it's really hinging on how those coordinators pan out. And KC, they always got to be in the hunt, man. Like, they were on the precipice of establishing a three-peat, the likes of which the league has never seen, but they were denied by Philly. So it doesn't matter on that front, but they still have Spags, talent on defense. They have some guys floating in and out, but still Chris Jones, a healthy Chris Jones, is a difference maker. He was a little physically compromised with that knee in the Super Bowl, but the offense, as long as you have Pat Mahomes, what is there really to not be hopeful about? He's taken a less powerful offense in the past several years and pulled them up by their bootstraps and made them competitive. So he's the engine that drives that offense, obviously. And then you have Andy Reid, coach. It just gives you a plus in that department. Baltimore, similar. Lamar, if they just stop not being themselves in the playoffs, I'd love to see what happens. See how far they can push it. They just lose themselves in identity-wise when it comes to the bright lights, and then playoff football. It's just, they always have something to prove to everybody else. Like, you don't want to win? Okay, cool. But that defense is tough-nosed. They had took their lumps this year, but I think they'll rebound some to rise in the rankings, and they'll add some pieces to retool. But they've always had a defense going back to the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed days. Terrell Suggs. So I trust them on that to that extent. Green Bay, I wouldn't put them here. Like, it's just a bit too mercurial. The ups and downs. You saw the pendulum swing. They saw the good love. Where is the love? And they hit that part in 2024. You're like, damn, where is that boy? I mean, I think him being injured, he got injured against us. Jalen Carter, unfortunately, I think sprained his knee on a sack. And, it just wasn't right. Just up and down. And the receiving core, just, too many drops. And they have talent, but they need to steady and force there. Whether it's the guys there to step up or they add a piece in there. So we'll see how they pan out. But, they're just too inconsistent, because they blew the Cowboys out one year, and then, they come and look like they don't just have their shit together in the wild card playoff game against us. And then teams that are not receiving ballots, that are not on the ledger. I mean, there's a ton of them, and I know people be fighting. I would say I would put the Vikings. Who would I put in there? Either be the Bills or the Vikings. The Vikings. Sam Brown had a hell of a year. Don't get it twisted. He wasn't protected. They came after him in the wild card round, but put that all on him. You gotta have better protection around him. I think guys go out with injury and things like that, but they continue building. I don't know if they go with him or re-sign him or go with J.J. McCarthy, but I think they're gonna be a competitive team. They have a very talented defense and a guy who knows what he's doing, calling Flores, calling shots on that side of the football. So that gives them a lot to work with. But yeah, the offensive identity, they found a solid quarterback. They beat higher up on this list. The not Vikings, the 49ers, they were completely off the list as well. I mean, I think their window, people are going to hate me saying this, but I think their window is closed, to be honest with you, because they're going to have to pay Purdy now, offer that rookie contract. And they've always been, cash strapped. And that was without him, being amongst the highest paid at his position. And then, Brandon Ayuk coming off an injury. George Kittle was their, main weapon, but, he's not, hasn't been the paragon of health. He's getting up there in age. Ricky Pearsall, he showed some things towards the end of the year, but I don't think he's ready yet to be a Deebo Samuels, and I don't think he's that type of receiver anyways, and they're probably going to ship him out. He's disgruntled. I think there's too many inconsistent pieces, and you're praying, pray tell that, the glue, spit, and, stitches keep Christian McCaffrey attached. I just think there's too many things inconsistent, and the defense kind of, fell off last year. The former head coach Robert Saleh is coming back, but how do they take to a second stint? He may not be stepping back into such a prestigious position, and D-line all they really have is really one guy, Nick Bosa. Other guys are they're not as solidly built as you would think, so they have some talent, but you have some people bouncing in and out of there, and different money issues and contracts. So they're teetering on the balance right now. Bucks just not talented enough to win the NFC South, but that's not saying a lot when you got the Saints and the Falcons as your main competition. And we'll see what the Falcons do, because they could challenge the Bucks for the throne. And still not saying much. We don't expect much from an NFC South team. That's just kind of what it is. The Bills are the more curious choice. I would put them in there just because, Josh Allen, they put more weapons around him. I think he could be even more dangerous. He kind of did it with he did it with the ragtag bunch this season. And I expect more from them, for them to put around him. But just another year with that coordinator that he has, I think, Joe Brady? Yeah. He called some good plays for him, but just they didn't have the talent. So defense needs to be retooled in some spots, but still a lot to hope for. He gives them a lot of hope. 17? Yeah, dream. Dolphins are just not cohesive enough. Like, the defense isn't, it's not enough talent. And their offense, while they can score points, they had their issues, I think, with, with Tua a little bit in and out of that lineup last year. And then can he stay healthy? Tyreek Hill not happy, them trying to appease him. So, yeah, just the fluctuation. One year they're solid, and then next year they're kind of like on the fringe. So, don't really trust them. Bengals, offensive heavy, and that's with them, potentially losing Jamar Chase, which they won't let happen. But T. Higgins, he could be out the door. They don't traditionally pay their players well, treat the players well, and it shows. Defense, they might lose some people. Jermaine Pratt wants out. Trey Henderson, they're holding him hostage with this contract situation. So, yeah, don't know how things are gonna play out, but they're kind of just strong on one side and weak on the other, and that doesn't really work unless you just catch lightning in the bottle. And they haven't been able to even get to the playoffs to do so, do damage. And then the Rams, just they're not quite ready. The defense might, be trending towards that direction, but the offense, they're losing some winning their sales, and all O-line needs to be addressed. Stafford's not getting any younger, and then Cooper Kupp's going to be out the door and on to the next, and then, all the pressure's on Puka Nacua. He needs a number two. It could improve number three as well. Tight end is solid, but they're not a groundbreaking group in offense. It's a lot hinging on the shoulders of Matt Stafford. So, hey man, only very few teams have a very solid window, and even then, I just like the way. It's just scary for me. Like the Eagles with all the talent they have amassed, and then the youth, that combination, dangerous, deadly, as we saw in the Super Bowl. But hey, we're gonna end the video here. But the truth of the matter is that you're not even watching though. But it's all good. because I love talking about the freaking stinking Philadelphia Eagles, and I love making these videos, especially talking about other teams as well. So, shout out the wealth and knowledge and the joy. But anyways, we're going to chunk the deuces officially and get the fuck out of here. But as always, it's fly, Eagles, fly, and let's motherfucking go. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.